Alright guys, and now we are back with a showdown between the dinosaurs who shall be led by the glorious Banana Slan, and Norsca, who's going to be led by Big Daddy Throg. So let's jump right into this match guys and have some fun. So for the build of the dinosaurs, here in the front line I do have 4 groups of the Temple Guard, and like I've said in previous casts, these guys are just so damn good against Norsca because they can basically beat all of the Norscan infantry. They have 85 armor, so that's going to make them very tough for Berserkers and Marauders and just kind of the low tier chaff units to deal with. And even against champions, I mean champions with great weapons might be able to put up a good fight, but I still think Temple Guard are going to win. They just have good stats across the board, they have insane leadership, and you're also going to be supporting them with the great Slan here. So the Slan Mage has some really good buffs. He has the Aura of Pretzel, which is going to be giving, well, it's actually called the Aura of Pretzel. Wetzel's Pretzel, the Aura of Wetzel's Pretzel is what we're going to call it. But it has the Aura of Quetzal here, which is going to be giving melee defense and armor to a pretty substantial portion of your front line. And if you have them kind of positioned in the middle of 2 groups right here, so it's going to hit this group and this group, that's a huge buff. On top of that, you cast Barona's Time Warp, which is going to be giving huge melee attack to the entire formation. So that's why the Slan Mage with Light is so popular nowadays, because number 1, he has good battlefield control with the Nets of Amnitok. So if they're going with like big mammoths or things that you need to isolate, he can pin them down. But more importantly, Barona's Time Warp and Faw's Protection are just such cost-effective spells, especially with Temple Guard, who are already very powerful. So we got 4 Temple Guard in total here in the front line. Banana Slan's going to be rolling dirty behind him. We do have a Feral Carnosaur as well, and you can go with 2 in this matchup because of how popular Premier and Frostworms and of course Mammoths are pretty popular as well. But I think just going with 1 and relying on Temple Guard and Skinks is it's a little bit safer. So we do have the Feral Carnosaur here. He's going to be having some of a Jurassic Park showdown, some prehistoric action against his Feral Mammoth over here. Should be quite a bit of fun. 2 groups of Chameleons over here, which I think are also quite good. They're just annoying. They can kind of counter skirmish the Hounds a little bit. So when the Hounds chase in, they take darts. It allows you to catch them a little bit easier, and they're just annoying. And also, Feral Mammoths are just so damn popular in the metagame right now that I think that the Chameleon Skinks are heavily justified because they do a ton of damage against light armor. And of course, this Feral Mammoth right here only has 30 armor. So on the flank, something else I've been trying out quite a bit, and a bit of a homebrew special, I'm going to be bringing 2 of the Feral Cold Ones, or the Clever Girls. And the reason I call them Clever Girls, for anyone who doesn't know the reference, it's from Jurassic Park when the guy's like hunting the Velociraptor, and he just shows up and he's like, Clever Girl, and then it kills him. That's what these guys are. So the Feral Cold Ones actually have a pretty decent little niche here. Number 1, they're pretty good at chasing off the low leadership units like Mammoths and Famir, but I also use them to deal with Hounds. So if they come in with the Norscan Warhounds, or the Ice Hounds, or the Beasts of Tashnar, these guys have pretty much too much armor for the dogs to handle. The dogs have very low armor piercing. These guys have high armor. Yes, they don't have the best stats, but with that armor and 46 weapon strength, they can usually overpower the Norscan Warhounds and other troops like that. In the back, we got 2 groups of Cold One Spear Riders, just some mobile anti-large to deal with other threats, to go after Famir, go after Throg, go after the Skinwolf Werkin. I just think they're a very solid choice. So that's pretty much it for my army. For the armies of King of the Dead, he's definitely a very good Norscan player here. He does have the Norscan Warhounds over here. The Frostwolves right here. Front line's going to be a combination of champions. I believe just the shielded variant, which are, I think, one of the safer picks here. They will lose the Temple Guard, but they hold the line. They can beat Saurus, and they're pretty good against missile attacks and Skinks. On top of that, in the back, he's got a bunch of Javelins. So he's going to be going dino hunting. And if these 3 Javelins can just sit on the Slan or sit on the Feral Carnosaur, they're going to take him apart very quickly. He's got a Metal Caster with Plague of Rust to lower armor of my troops, which is going to synergize with both the champions as well as the Javelins. And he's got the Iceworm Marauders, a Feral Mammoth, a Throg, and a Skinwolf Werkin for some extra anti-large. So guys, let's get the show on the road and see how it goes. So over here we do have some light fighting so far. You can see the Skinks were able to get some poking fire into the Norsca Warhounds, and it looks like we were able to take out a couple models. I did do 1 initial charge with the Clever Girls, trying to kind of pin those guys down and get a couple free kills, and I got some good damage, and the Clever Girls really didn't take any damage back. So at this point I'm able to pull them in, break them, and the Clever Girls are able to kind of defend themselves and essentially push them back. Now, King of the Dead does have the advantage as it pertains to missile units, so I basically have to march in here, taking a little bit of fire from the Javelins, but it's not going to be terrible. And the Temple Guard are going to be charging in here, and this is going to be a pretty good engagement with them. They have really good armor piercing, a hybrid kind of great weapon / halberd unit. These guys are going to be beast mode. Now, the Big Mammoth is charging in, Throg's charging in, but this is great. I mean, this is what Temple Guard are meant for. They have Barona's Time Warp, so their melee attack is going to be 59. They're holding back, a Skinwolf Werkin, Marauder Champions, as well as Throg, and doing damage to all 3 targets. Over here should be pretty good as well with the Aura Pretzel going down in just a moment. I think the Slan is just kind of rotating, and the big T-Rex is going to be rushing forward to intercept the Mammoth. He does kind of overshoot it a little bit, but the Mammoth is taking tons of withering fire from the Skinks right here, just putting him down. He's rampaging, he's out of control, which is great, and the Feral Carnosaur should be able to start teabagging him and just giving the business pretty bad. So the Feral Mammoth already down to half health, but so far the front line is holding, but it looks like King of the Dead does have a formation here with the champions, Throg plus the Werkin, that are working through these guys. As such, I'm going to be reinforcing them using these Cold One Spear Riders with the Barona's Time Warp. Their melee attack is now 56, which is really juicy. And over here, like I said, very useful tool. If you're going to be going with Skinks, I highly recommend bringing 1 or 2 Clever Girls. Now use them defensively. Don't use them offensively because they're going to rampage into bad targets. And once you kind of clean up the chaff, or if there's no Hounds or no pressure, you could just send them into Marauder Champions or something like that. So these Feral Cold Ones are able to feast on the Hounds over here, so far so good in that respect. In the back line, the other group of Feral Cold Ones did rampage into a bit of an unfortunate target while they were fighting the Norscan Wolves, and had to fight some Javelins and some other troops here, so that was not good. But the fight's, relatively close. Bounce Fire is dead even. We have gotten the Mammoth. The Mammoth is pretty much down, and from here we're going to be pulling back, and we're going to be chasing it off the battlefield. Unfortunately, my poor Feral Carnosaur did go out of control and rampage. I was able to get him back with the Cold Blood, but he not rampaged, but he actually broke. But yeah, really good Javelin Focus Fire. So basically, 2 of the big monsters are offline. The Mammoth is actually dead, but the Feral Carnosaur still in okay shape. I was a little bit sad I didn't bring a Rev Crystal at this point, because he obviously has a ton of HP I could heal and work with. But the Temple Guard are just beasts. I mean, these guys are one of my favorite units on the Dinosaur roster right now. They have Foz Protection right now, just giving them 69 melee defense. That's what she said. And yeah, they're just holding and fighting. I mean, just this massive tide of Norscans isn't able to push through the Temple Guard. They're like heavily outnumbered, which is so thematic, and they're able to kind of do some damage to Skin Wolf, holding back Throg, and really buying me the time to kind of secure my back line. Unfortunately, that Feral Carnosaur is going to be rampaging, charging back in here. He's going to be getting the Ronin's Time Warp as he charges in, and he's actually able to rampage on top of Throg, which is a pretty decent little situation. I mean, Throg, of course, being the ideal target, but from there he does, unfortunately, rampage into a bunch of spears, and the Javelins of King of the Dead are going to be dropping some hot fire on him, and that's going to be trouble. Now, over here, the Feral Cold Ones did finish off the dogs. They're able to shatter them, which cost for cost is pretty good. They only cost 450, so that was a great trade. Plus, they're able to jump over here and help out this group of Temple Guard who are fighting on the flanks against these Marauders, so far so good. Now, in the backline, the Chameleons are shooting. They're in good shape. I have pulled back the Golden Spear Riders. There's no point in having them fight here because the Javelins are there. So just let, King use the Javelin ammunition to take out the Temple Guard and the other troops here, and from there I can use the Cav to be a little bit more effective. Now, these Temple Guard holding to the bitter end. 36 models right here with the Foz Protection. These guys have the Time Warp. They're just getting in there, doing the job. The Shaman Sorcerer, though, is in okay shape. 1650, so he's in okay shape. Skin Wolf Werekin, even though I have done some pretty good damage, could regenerate. So even though Norsca has taken quite a bit of damage on their leadership, on both Throg as well as the Skin Wolf Werekin, it doesn't really mean a lot in this matchup because they both have the means of healing. So the bounce power is pretty damn even. I would say it's in the dead middle, maybe a slight kind of just ounce in my favor, but again, it doesn't really matter because the Skin Wolf Werekin and Throg can easily heal, and here comes the banishment. So the Banana Slan going to be using his free banishment here in the back, going to be dropping it on top of the Marauder Spearmen, or these Hunters of Javelins, and it's able to do some pretty good damage. So just trying to butter these guys up. I should have put it a little bit more dead center so it could go side to side, but I just kind of used it in a bit of a panic. Now over here it looks like I'm going to be getting chased, so the Werewolf is going to be going after the big old banana, wanting to feast on it, but I do have some Cold One Spear Riders coming in who are going to be getting a great charge on him. He's isolated. I do have Nets of Amnitok as well, but I don't really need it since he's just in the open. So at this point I turn around with the Slan, and Slans actually have a really big HP pool. So don't be afraid to kind of use them as a bit of a roadblock. They have really good mass, they're extra thick, and he's able to hold there. And we get a full surround on the Skin Wolf Werekin with a bunch of anti-large troops, which is great. Unfortunately, the Icehorn Marauders and some other elites are going to be piling in here, which is really going to make it hard for the Spear Riders. I do pop the Aura of Pretzel and the Time Warp to make them pretty damn strong. 56, 55, 38 weapon strength. That's really damn good. That's like Demogryph Knight territory. So the Chameleons are going to be pouring in as well, providing some supporting fire. And I do have a somewhat healthy group of the Temple Guard over here. These guys, of course, anti-large, armor piercing, going to be very good against a lot of these targets. Obviously, will be able to easily beat the Icehorn Marauders. Unfortunately, though, King does have a lot of troops left. He has the Marauders in the back, 44 right here, these ones have 40, and then another group of 29 right here. And these guys aren't pushovers in melee. I mean, in just a grindy long fight, they're going to be pretty good, but basically I'm just trying my best to focus down the Skin Wolf Werekin. He really needs to go because he's going to just regenerate and regenerate. I need to push him off the battlefield. I need to break him while he's low and just butter that bread. So we have 9 Temple Guard coming in right there. We have another 7 here. In the distance, we do have some Feral Cold Ones who are just feasting. And these clever girls are just so cost effective. I really like these guys. I mean, don't use them like as an offensive kind of blitz unit. They actually just rampage. But if you use them defensively as like a sweeper unit, almost like you would use like Chaos Warhounds, for example, they're pretty damn good with that 90 armor for 450. It's pretty good and tasty. So over here, the Chameleon's Gangster is still trying to focus down the Skin Wolf Werekin. A little bit low in ammo. 2 volleys here. These ones have 2 volleys as well. And you can also see that the Slan Mage is going to be rolling in on his Roomba. So he's getting in there on his toilet seat Roomba, whatever you guys want to call it. It's more of a toilet seat. And he's just going to be going in. Now, it's a little bit risky, but I saw how damn low the Skin Wolf Werekin was. So I was like, okay, I have a ton of HP. I have Foz Protection to kind of juice me up to 59 melee defense, give me some armor. Let's go in there. Let's see if we can break the Skin Wolf Werekin. And then from there, hopefully we can either kill him or chase him off. I also have a couple of groups of the what's it called? What are those, like, lizard calf? The Cold One Spear Riders. It's all actually not a couple of groups, but a couple models, I should say. Charging in, but they are able to break the Skin Wolf Werekin, which is great. This guy's at 500 HP. He's very low. He's going to be running. Now, anytime you guys are playing, if you do break a unit that is like a regenerating unit, it's not its healing cap. You want to do everything you can to chase it off. Unfortunately, I don't have too many tools to catch this guy, so he's going to be able to get away. In the distance, I do have some Feral Cold Ones who are going to be coming back, so surprise these guys are holding up. They have 29 kills and only a couple models, but if I can get these these guys back and use them to chase some units off, that could definitely be some pretty good value. Now back in the main fight, Throg is a little bit beat up, and the Banana Salon is going to be hunting him down. The Temple Guard in pretty good shape. They've gotten some pretty good damage on him. His caster is wavering, but still here, so maybe he still has some magic to cast, maybe a little bit of a Searing Doom action or Plague of Rust on the Temple Guard, but I'm going to be using the Skinks, who are pretty fast, 48 speed against the 35 of the caster, and these little annoying frogs are going to be chasing him down and should be able to probably break him. I mean, he has very low armor, he only has 30, so the Skinks, even their pitiful melee stats, I mean, it's not 24-25, or 20, 24-25, should be able to finish him off. Now back here in the main fight, all the Temple Guard are going to be piling back in. Let me take a sip of water real quick. I don't know, I mean, it's like allergy season out here. I've been having some trouble. But anyways, the Temple Guard are going to be piling back in on top of Throg, and this is a good situation. Throg is poisoned. All of these troops are poisoned, just showing the real versatility of this Chameleon Skinks. And I'm really just able to pin these guys down. Shield of the old ones is getting dropped as well, and it's just the final battle. I mean, the Balance Fire is pretty much dead even. No one's in a clear... I would say, yeah, at this point, with actually breaking the Skin Wolf Hurricane right there, maybe that does give me a little bit of an advantage. But if he gets away and doesn't get killed, he's going to be able to heal and come back with like 800 to 1,000 HP, which is going to be devastating. Throg is also getting to beat on this banana a little bit. He's swinging it around over his head, and it looks like the Banana Salon is able to kind of Roomba away there, and the Temple Guard are able to rush forward. So Temple Guard is just such a cool unit. 5 guys there, 15, 3 Temple Guard right there, and 8. I mean, Temple Guard, their base leadership I think is like 90. It's really good. So if they're supported by an encouraging character, they have their flanks secure, they're going to have almost 100 base leadership, which is insane. So Throg currently is getting poisoned by the Chameleons, which is great. It's kind of keeping him from running and, repositioning, and it looks like he's trying to like circle around and get on top of Throg, but every time he does, I just make sure to chase him with the Skinks, and I don't mind sending in the Salon because it does force Throg to stay still and take a beating, otherwise he could potentially run. So there's going to be a couple Javelins coming in here as well, and I have some Chameleons that are back here, and this is a great situation. So the Skin Wolf Hurricane is broken, and I was able to get those 5 clever girls, and look at these, just the heroes of the Lizardmen Empire are going to be chasing this guy down and maybe shattering him. He's broken, he's probably going to shatter if he keeps getting chased. It's going to be very high and tight here, so close situation. Now did he actually come back? Oh, come on, Clever Girls, get in there. So the Clever Girls charge in, and they might be able to break the Werewolf, negative 26, and he breaks these guys, just the MVPs of this match. Had that guy come back, I think I would have been in a lot of trouble. He would have been able to heal up a lot of HP. Now Throg is just holding on. I mean, I don't have that many Temple Guard left. You would think you'd be going down very quickly, but there's only a handful of these guys. So let's do a little bit of fast forwarding. As King of the Hill does a little bit of Benny Hill, trying to circle up and around and get on top of me here. I do pop shield with the old ones. Bounce Fire is a little bit in my favor, but if Throg was able to kill the big toad, kind of pull away and regroup with some of his other forces, he might be able to win this, but Throg is actually going to get broken by the remaining Temple Guard and the Banana Salon. So what an incredibly close game. It was just down to the wire. And it was funny, a lot of it was like very synced, right? Like he lost his Mammoth, I shortly after lost my Carnosaur, my infantry won the fight, but he also had pretty good leadership fights with Throg and his Skin Wolf Hurricane, so there was just so much back and forth that game. But the Temple Guard are just so good. I mean, even if your opponent's expecting them, they're pretty decent against large targets. If they go heavy with like Mammoths, they have anti-large, they have charge defense. I mean, yeah, Mammoths and things like that could still be pretty good against them. But the one thing that I think is very punishing for Temple Guard is going to be a Frostworm pick. A Frostworm can just kind of cycle charge him, and also can get those really nasty breath attacks down the tightly packed Temple Guard formation. So that can be really gross as well. But I think they're just incredibly solid. The Skinks are really good as kind of a natural deterrent against the Frostworm as well, because they can just poke it. It only has 70 armor, and they can do pretty good. I would even justify maybe cutting one Temple Guard, getting a couple Skin cohorts, and getting another Chameleon in this matchup. I felt like they were very useful. 29, 62, really good kills on the Feral Cold ones. Those guys were able to fend off the Warhounds, protect the Skinks, and then from there chase off high-value units. I mean, they just did so good that game. And also we did have really good success with our big kind of anti-large tools here. And as far as King's army, I mean, it was great. It was a really, really good army. And honestly, it was a super close game. If a couple minor details had changed, that game certainly could have gone either way. So very well played to King of the Dead. This was the first of a couple games we played, so stay tuned for the next one. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this Dinosaur vs. Norsca showdown. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.